Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Real Talks. I'm your host, David Steele, and this is part 2 of our conversation we had with Ben about the video game The Last of Us and why it is widely considered one of the greatest games ever produced. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this content, I gotta ask, please hit that like and subscribe button. That's the only way you're going to get this content for 2023. Please, also leave a comment, guys. Have you played The Last of Us? Did you like it? Have you played The Last of Us 2? Did you beat it? What did you think about it? So, without any further ado, let's get to the episode.
That's powerful.
Yeah, and it's just so what we're going to do, guys. I want to get so that was a fantastic synopsis of how in the first 15 or 20 minutes. So I want to give you guys a little breakdown of how big this game was back then. So this was one of the best-selling video games back then, and when I say back then, when it was released, it sold 1.3 million units in its first week, and by April of 2018, 17 million units. It just, multiple Game of the Year awards. I mean, and that's just, it's been called one of the greatest video games ever. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over 5 points that I really think capture and bring home why this is such a great game. And the first one I'm going to talk about today is the setting and the environment. Now, you were talking about, it came out in 2013, and they actually did a remastered one, which was released for the PS4. Then, as you just said, it was in September of this year, was for the PS5. And guys, the graphics, you can go YouTube this, or if you want, or I'll put it up there. The graphics are incredibly more detailed. And it's just amazing to see what a little tweak can do for that. So let's talk about the setting. What did you think about how they were able to put a setting? So the setting from Boston all the way through. What were some of the highlights for you, Benjamin?
All right. I really think Boston is a really good starting zone. I think it immediately grabs your attention to just how much more dead civilization is. People are survivors now. You have multi-level buildings, but it's very clear no one's in the higher levels. Everyone's on the ground floor or in the basements. When you have to go through going outside the city through the back routes, and you are pushing couches out of the way to reveal hidden passageways. When you leave the city and it goes from this place that's kind of on its last legs, flags feel more tattered, bricks are broken, people gather around in buses and everything else. Clearly there's no fuel really for public consumption, and so people just collaborate around tents, and you have this mini society. And then you leave and it's overgrown and nature has reclaimed everything. And I'm like, that's beautiful. It's really strong imagery about adapting to new circumstances, which is what The Last of Us is as a game. And it grabs you. And then you continue going forward. You have Tommy's town in Jackson, where you have to go through and find the hydraulic generator, and you see more mountains, rivers, and life, right?
Yeah.
It's not a city. It's just small collective people, but they're not gathering around things and watching people beat each other up.
Yeah, no.
They're working towards a common goal.
They are.
You see it when you go through areas that have been abandoned, like in Pittsburgh and the outskirts of Pittsburgh, where you run through old sewer systems. There was life here, and it's not overtaken like other locations are, where life feels like it's no longer there at all. You can see toys and old gates and gas canisters and boats.
Yeah.
But it's all been abandoned, and the notes you find along the way will not bring you any peace. I think I could talk about every location just like this.
Yeah.
Billstown, which has traps that are pretty smart. They're not next gen. Last of Us 2 has way better traps that actually made me mad more often than not, because they got me. But yeah, in part 1, you've got like tripwires you have to be aware of. You've got a trap that gets you when you open a door. You've got these clickers that just are sitting in houses, not even locked up.
And so that's actually
they just stand there.
So let me back up for a minute. So we're using these words like runners and clickers and whatnot. So
sorry.
No, that's okay. So it basically the major point of this, okay, is that you had a fungus called the cordyceps. And what ended up happening was all of these different, so you have 4 stages of, if you get bit, you become one of the infected. Now, there are 4 stages that there are for infected. You have runners, okay, which is like, we're not going to put timetables on this, but like a couple of months or, 6 months to a year. Then you have
pretty standard zombies.
Yeah, exactly.
Run after you.
Right. Now those, their hearing is still there, so you can throw a bottle, okay, and they'll go running after that because they hear it. The second stage you have is a clicker. Now these are a little more advanced, okay. Their sound is gone. Their head is
No. Their sound is good. They're blind.
Yeah, thank you. There's some of their
they
senses.
Can't see.
Some of their senses
but
are.
They have really good hearing,
Right.
and they use echolocation to find you, which makes them a horrifying enemy because they're one-hit kills. And if you get bit by a clicker, you're done unless you have one upgrade.
Yeah.
You've got stalkers next.
Yes.
Which are infected that hide and walk around and lurk towards you. They don't immediately chase you down, but they'll wait to ambush you. And you got the big boys, the bloaters, which deserve a special place in hell. They're hunks in the worst way possible. They have health pools that are a pain in the butt, and at the earliest time, they're a battle to fight. They can charge into you. They can throw gas bombs at you. They're very clearly your bosses, but they're very rare. You don't see them very much.
Yeah. Those are definitely. So those are the four types. So the setting is it's just so well done how they were able to be so detailed and grab all of the different nuances of Boston. For example, you see the Golden Dome. Okay, that's good. That's the State House. So and where they're going toward, to begin in the game, and it's amazing how they're able to capture everything. Let's go into a little of the story because we were touching on that a couple minutes ago. This story is amazing. So essentially, you have the actors and actress. The 2 main ones are Troy Baker, who plays Joel, and then Ashley Johnson, who plays Ellie. And so, in the beginning, okay, as you were making mention, Joel loses his daughter. And so one of the big things we see throughout the game is a trust factor, okay? And, to begin the game, there's a scene in the trailer for actually The Last of Us, the series, which is starting in 2 weeks, unbelievably. But, you see him say, she says, "I'm not family," and he says, "No, you're cargo." So immediately there's a disconnect there. As this story gets deeper and deeper and deeper, we start to see more trust between the two. And he grows to not only care for Ellie, but love Ellie. And it's it's almost like Ellie is his daughter. But so let's talk about the gameplay real quick, because inside of the story, you have another little nuance, which you were talking about, the skill trees. This is one of the most fascinating and really cool things. So along the way, okay, you can pick up bricks and bottles to throw at infected or to distract enemies. But the other cool thing you have is you have a crafting tree. So along the way, there are 5, I believe, 5 manuals you can pick up. And each one of them is a manual to help you whether it's to upgrade health, to help your stealth, to craft. So there's something in the game called crafting, and I'm sure there's other things in other games that are like this, where you need along your journey, you have to pick up certain things, whether it's alcohol, whether there are rags, whether there are bottles, whether there are scissors, and you can make different objects. So you take, let's say, a bottle and something else and make a silencer, or you take a piece of wood.
That's part 2.
Yeah. Well,
part 1 is a lot simpler.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
Molotovs and smoke bombs.
So you have.
Don't let me forget those.
Yeah. So you have.
You have variety. Yeah. There's a lot of good variety for part 1, and I want to build on that because everything you can craft in part 1 almost has a separate ammo. Shivs and health packs health packs and Molotovs use similar materials. Shivs and pipe bombs, or maybe it's not pipe bombs, but your smoke grenades use similar materials. You have to really be contemplating, what am I upgrading? What am I choosing to get? How am I using them? You have shivs that can be used to stab people and kill people faster in stealth because, in case you didn't know, you're in an apocalypse and bullets aren't very common. Good luck deciding to play Uncharted in this one and decide to shoot everyone with your gun first. It ain't going to work out for you very well. You got 6 bullets? You're probably not going to get more than that. And so you want to sneak up on people, and the stealth kills take so long to do, especially as Joel, that having shivs to be able to quickly and stab someone makes it way faster and more reliable to not get caught. And you have to contemplate doing that or using the shiv doors, which are little doors that you have to break open, and they usually have a lot of resources inside. You have different upgrades you can get for your weapons. There's so much depth in its character progression, and it immediately starts telling you as the player, what are you choosing to prioritize? How do you want to approach the game? Are you trying to kill everyone? Are you trying to just survive? And it starts really putting you in the headspace of a survivor.
Yeah.
I don't know if you felt this, but when I was walking around, it was like, I enter a new room, perfect. I'm going to scout every room. I don't care if there's nothing in here. I need to look. I enter a dark area, turning on the flashlight. We're walking.
And something that's something that in the first game that I played, I really didn't do well. And I left a lot of things on the table. So you have these things called supplements, which with these supplements you can upgrade certain things throughout the game. And
your health.
Yeah. And so the second one, I was much more cognizant about not only clearing a room, but looking and scouring, opening every single drawer, because every resource you get can and will be used, especially once you if you play on the harder levels. They'll use it. Let's talk about the pacing. You brought this up to me the other day. The pacing and the building relationships, and I think this is an extremely important point, and it's vital to the game. Talk about that for us. Talk about.
Okay. Yeah. I think this game, The Last of Us, directed by Neil Druckmann, may be my favorite paced things ever. Not because they keep you engaged the entire time. They do. But a lot of things do. It's that they reveal things through the pacing. When you start The Last of Us, you don't know that Ellie is immune to the cordyceps virus. You don't know that she had a friend named Riley who got bit at the same time as her. When you play part 2, you don't know half of anything about Abby, save for what she does at the start of the game. These games use the time that you have as you play the game to reveal things, to give you more dimensions to your characters. Joel and Ellie become this inseparable unit because as you're playing, you have optional dialogue prompts, things that wouldn't fit into a cutscene, that wouldn't really jive with a forest written thing. But as you're exploring the area, you'll start talking, and Ellie will try to tell a joke, or she'll try to learn to whistle. which is the cutest thing ever. And you just have these moments that just fit in where you have to learn who Ellie is in real time with Joel. You don't get to just play the game and immediately know, oh, they're going to be best friends. Because for the majority of this game, they are not friends. They are people working together. She is cargo, he is the smuggler, and that's it. At least Joel wants it to be that. But Ellie doesn't. And you don't really know a lot of what Ellie wants because Joel doesn't want to find that. And you're like, well, why not? And it's like, oh. And then you're reminded of Sarah.
Well, there's a scene.
And things suddenly start to click.
Well, no, there's a scene.
There is that scene.
Okay, go ahead. You're going for it. Tell us that scene.
Okay. So I think there is a scene. I'm not her. If you can, just go YouTube it. I'm sure it would be really fun to put it in this video, but we might get copyright started.
I'm gonna put it in there. But yeah,
leave a
absolutely.
link because I could never talk about everything it does. It is a masterclass scene in setting up tension, in setting up character desires, in setting up conflict, in highlighting character. Short-term notes. Joel and Ellie have left Boston trying to get to the Fireflies, which is this ragtag group that are trying to develop a cure for the cordyceps virus. They're kind of a terrorist group. They're not sponsored by the state military, but they have the best chance at creating a cure, and they are trying to get back to normal, which sounds really weird saying that now, but it was in 2013. What a time. And so you're trying to find them through this entire game. That is Joel's primary objective, is get Ellie to the Fireflies. You leave Boston to go get to the Capitol building, and the Fireflies aren't there because they're dead. Great. And suddenly Joel has to go and take Ellie further and farther away, going farther and farther to try to find them. Joel and his brother Tommy, who you saw in the initial act of the game, at one point kind of seemed to have had an in with the Fireflies. Tommy specifically definitely worked with the Fireflies and was a part of their ranks for a while. And so Joel thinks that if he goes to Tommy, he can maybe get a better lay of the land and know where it is. And that's what he tells Ellie. But Joel also wants to go home. There's nothing for him back home. His main co-worker, Tess, is dead because she died in the early hours of the game. And Joel never really had that much political sway in Boston. But it's away from Ellie, and he isn't reminded of Sarah when he's away from Ellie. And it hits you, and you're like just starting to cry. And Joel still is unable to really process anything.
And that's going to do it for this episode. Stay tuned in the coming days for the rest of the breakdown we did with Benjamin about The Last of Us and why it is considered one of the greatest games of all time. So guys, coming up, we have the roundup coming for you this week. And then in 2 weeks, guys, we have probably one of the most anticipated series in a long time, The Last of Us. So we're going to be doing an episode-by-episode breakdown here on the channel. If you like this video or any of the other videos, please consider to hit that like and subscribe button. Also, drop me a comment in the comments section. Tell me, what did you like about The Last of Us? What did you like about The Last of Us Part 2? Did you beat any of the games? Did it make you cry? I'd be curious to see that. Okay, guys, take care of yourself. Be safe, and I will see you later. I'm David Steele, and this has been Real Talk.